Let's go. Let's see if we can do this.
Okay, let's see how short we can make this.
Yeah, the odds, the Vegas odds, not in our favor. Geez, not in our favor. Whatever. I don't gamble. Vegas doesn't have great odds on us finishing this podcast sooner rather than later, but we're going to give it a shot because we had to adjust our schedule a little bit. I had some family things come up last week, and then we just had a little bit of a reschedule with our guest that was supposed to be on. So, things happen. It's all good. She was very kind and felt really bad, which, as I've ranted about on this podcast before, I do appreciate that she felt bad. And I do believe that it was, and I had to reschedule on her last week. She has to reschedule now, but she was genuinely sorry, other than some of these clowns that we've had on that just don't show up. It's like,
or say anything. They don't say anything. We never hear from them ever again.
It's happened sometimes, and it drives me nuts.
They leave us on red.
There's one lady specifically that, she. I don't care. I'm not gonna say her name, but there was one lady over the last maybe 6 months that she reached out and said, I would love to be on your podcast. And I always know anytime someone's like, I think I can bring some value to your podcast, it makes me a little bit nervous. Cause I'm like, who says that? Like, who talks this way? Like, if you want to be on the podcast, just say, I would love to be on your podcast. But when you start using words like that, I don't trust you. But I'm like, we have a little bit of a process that we go through for people that we don't know when they want to be on the podcast. She kind of went through the process, provided all this information, and you and I were ready to go. And she all of a sudden, I said, hey, usually what happens is the day before or the morning of, I say, hey, I just wanted to confirm, are we still good for the podcast today? And she said, yep, absolutely, looking forward to it. And then she quickly deleted it, which I've never had someone delete a message on Instagram. I think you've joked before. In the dating world, that's probably happened a little bit more to you. It's never happened to me. And so I'm like, that was weird. I could have swore there was a message here. And so now I'm like, I don't know if we're good or if we're not. And then I get another message saying, and this is within like 5 minutes. Then it's like this much longer message saying, hey, actually some stuff's going on with my business. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm very sorry. I won't be able to make it tonight. Okay. A little weird because, you just literally just said, yeah, absolutely, I'm good to go. So I can't imagine your business changed within 5 minutes, but what do I know? And so then I told you, hey, this person bailed. I said, yeah, let's try to reschedule if you want. Never heard back. But then the next thing I saw this person post, which was within 30 minutes of canceling on us, she was talking about how she was in the shower with her boyfriend and contemplating life. I'm like, wait a minute. So it was your business. First of all, that makes me question what kind of business you're running. Second of all, I thought you said like your business was really struggling and you were talking about being in the shower with your boyfriend, contemplating life. I never reached out. Like, you're not coming on the show. I don't care if you do reach out again. I unfollowed her. Like, this is nonsense.
You did.
I did. Like, I didn't really like your content in the first place. I was doing this as a nice gesture. No more. Done.
Maybe we should have a great interview process.
Maybe you should tell people.
A lot of people want to be on our show. Look at that.
It does happen. Yeah. I got a weird one recently. I'm not going to mention it, but there was a really weird one. I'm like, I think you misunderstand. I think they misunderstood what we do with one of our awesome guests who have been on the show. I'm not even going to mention which guest it was because I just don't even want to. Yeah. But I think they took what that person was talking about and thinking that our whole podcast was about that. Cause they're like, I would love to talk about this specific topic. I'm like, this is not really what we do. And I like that person. I don't even know you. So, anyways, that's just my rant for today. How's it going, Deb?
Great. Oh, that's a good rant. It's great now that the rain has kind of stopped and it's sunny out and I can finally run outside again and it's not too windy. So that's nice. Yesterday there was no way yesterday I ran inside my gym on a treadmill because it was so windy outside. I'm like, I'm not doing it. It's my contacts are gonna blow out of my eyeballs. Like I can't, it's way too windy. And so, but today I was able to run outside. It was nice. I'm probably going to run again after we record just because it's still so nice outside.
You know what? And I feel like anybody who wears contacts like myself, I feel you when you say that. Like there is a feeling when it's really that windy. Like you do know, like I feel like contacts are way better now, but there's certain environments you're like, These could go
Yeah.
anytime and I'll be blind. That's my biggest fear is like I'm going
Yeah.
somewhere and I lose one. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh,
I keep a spare set in my wallet now. Like I have a little pocket. I have like a dual two
ah,
pocket wallet. So I keep a spare and I have dailies, like I change them every
sure.
day.
Me too.
So I now keep a spare just because that is one of my fears. I'm like, because I thought about it one day and I'm like, what if my contact just falls out of my eye? What am I gonna do? And
Well,
so
you and I
you
are
know,
the same age. So like we played high school sports around the same time. And
mhm,
so I don't know if you had contacts back then,
I
but
did.
they're way better now
They're
because I remember one of your contacts falling out when I was playing sports in high school was a legit fear because it happened. And I
Mhm,
had to keep an extra couple of sets of
yeah,
contacts because the dirt, the wind,
mhm,
the sun, all of it just makes it dry. And I lost
yeah,
multiple contacts. Now, it's crazy. My
mm,
dad used to wear, I don't know if he still does. I don't think he still does. I think he just does glasses. He used to wear contacts, but he did the hard contacts.
I heard about those.
And
It's like
I don't even
it's
know
like
why
I
he
thought it
did
was an
that.
urban legend.
Well, his name's Steve Takamoto. That's what,
Hard contacts. Like what? I don't, I can't imagine putting those in your eyeballs.
no. Well, I mean, I guess there's the pros and cons to it, right? Like the pro is you're paying for one set of contacts that's durable enough to not have to constantly change out. The con is if you get something under that eye or that contact, it really hurts. So I remember
Yeah.
him coaching me playing baseball. He's like, I don't know,
Yeah.
is he giving me a sign? Am I supposed to steal third? Like, what are we supposed to do here? Am I supposed to bunt? I don't know what he's doing. But oh,
I
his contact's no good.
okay, so I have a quick story about okay, so you before I got dailies, I had monthlies and then I would put them, in the solution and soak them
Hmm.
overnight. And then my sister had told me about the solution that oh, I can't think of the ingredient, but basically it like fizzles when you put it in it's
Oh,
supposed to deep clean it, but it fizzles. But there's a rule. It's so like I forgot what ingredient it is. I don't know. It's so strong that you have to let it soak for a minimum of like 5 hours or something.
geez.
And then it like does, and then you're fine to put it in your eyeball. I don't know what I was thinking one day. I don't know what I did. I don't know if I used that solution to squirt it on my contact to clean it really quick. Okay, I put that in my eyeball after right away or too soon. My eye, I thought I was going to go blind. I have never been in so much
Oh,
pain in my life. I immediately took it out. I think I started crying. I'm in like high school. I'm not a little kid. I'm just like, but like it hurt so bad. I thought I was like, I'm gonna lose my eyeball. It felt like if my eyeball could bleed, it didn't bleed, but that's what it felt like. It felt like someone stabbed me in my eye.
oh
It
yeah.
hurt so bad.
I'll tell you what, man. The eyes are
Awful.
nothing to mess with. Anything, because I agree with you. Anything that happens with the eyes, your first thought is, "There it goes. My eyes are gone. I'm blind. I'm blind forever now." Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, even if I get like the smallest piece of dust in my eye, I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "That's it. My vision's gone. I'm gonna have to learn Braille."
It's the worst. And then now I'm just thinking of eyeballs now. Every once in a while, I haven't gotten one in a long time, but I'll get an aura migraine, like start losing. If I get a migraine, I'm at the age where I don't even really feel the headache. I just start to lose my vision. That shit
Oh,
is scary. If I'm looking, whatever field of vision I'm looking at, doesn't matter where I'm looking at, it's almost like a squiggly line in the middle of my field of vision. So no matter what, like if you go like this, like put your finger, have both eyes open. Okay, do that right now. Put one finger. Okay, and now keep that finger there, but like keep looking around. Like that is literally what I see. Like there's something in the way, no matter where I look.
yeah, that would be terrifying.
It is awful. And then so as soon as I would feel that, I'd be like, oh, okay, time to pop some ibuprofen, and then it would go away in like a half an hour to an hour. But
It would go away that quickly.
yeah,
That's
just because I knew it, well, because I that was like the onset, like I knew it was coming. So
gotcha.
like it would be like a warning before the head part came in. And then I would just kind of like relax myself and be like, just calm down. Cause it would be stress related.
Sure.
So I would taught myself to just calm down and just take the medicine and just it'll be fine. And then I haven't had one in a long time, but those are scary because I literally start to lose my I can't see anything. So
Yeah, no, I can't even imagine. I've never had that. I've had some migraines, but never where that was the problem. So I'm
yeah.
thankful for that. And I did want to say this because we were talking about this right before we started recording, but uh, I was texting our guest and we were just trying to reschedule, um, you know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because of not being able to do it today. But I told you, I said, hey, just give me 1 second because I had to type and I'm not good. I'm fearful of typing or texting, typing, and talking because I'm just afraid of what I'm gonna transcribe in that
Mm-hmm.
moment. And that's one of my biggest fears at work because I have a job where I can listen to podcasts and listen to music while I'm working. And one of my biggest fears, especially as we've discussed before, um, I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts and they're comedy podcasts where it's like a lot of stuff on there is not like I'm always fearful like if my headphone comes out, it's just gonna
Mm-hmm.
blast what I'm listening to out to the entire office. It's not gonna be a great look because some of the stuff they talk about is pretty intense.
Yeah.
And so my other fear is that while I'm typing emails, professional emails, I'm gonna accidentally transcribe something I'm hearing because I'm so focused on the podcast that I
Mm-hmm.
accidentally type something that I, shouldn't put in a professional email. It hasn't happened yet, but it's always a big fear of mine. I don't know if you have that. I mean, you send a lot of emails
Oh yeah.
more to
I'll be
parents.
not to parents, but just to coworkers or
Sure.
I also do all staff emails every day about sporting events at our school.
Oh, you still
So
do that?
yeah.
Oh,
So I do it for funsies. I just don't trust anyone else to do it. And I'm a little OCD about how it needs to be done.
sure.
And it keeps me in the loop with sports. I still like to be in the sports world from afar. I'm in the sports world.
Okay.
I still do that. But not only does it go out to our entire site, but it goes out to like the B, like Joe Davidson. It goes out to
Shout out to
all like
Joe.
the newspaper people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so if I make a mistake, I'm like, well, okay, here we go. And I send it again and I'll call it updated sports shorts.
There.
And no one cares. But nothing crazy.
Yeah.
It would just be like a mistake in what I typed, like a typo. But luckily I just do a lot of copying and pasting. But I do send out a lot of emails when I'm on my phone because that's my I don't have when I'm out like teaching, I'm not at my computer. I have to use
Sure.
my for emails, for phone calls. Um, oh yeah. It's a big fear of mine to like accidentally
You know what? You know what's
like a personal text and like send it to someone else. Yeah.
oh yeah. No,
Mhm.
actually it's funny. I came across that clip we posted a while ago where you accidentally text me that you love me. I-
I think I said love you. And I literally remember
yeah.
being at work on I remember sitting on my couch at work on my lunch break and I was on my phone like profusely. I don't know what I was doing. I
Yeah.
was texting my friends and I was talking to my coworkers at the same time. And then you're texting me. And I think I thought you were one of my friends. Like I was texting and I said, love you. Cause I say that to my friends sometimes. And then I don't know if I noticed right away or if maybe you said something back and I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, why did I
No, I think I
send it?
sent something back. I'm like, all right, well, this clearly wasn't for me. And you know what I don't appreciate
Oh my
either
God, that was
is how
funny.
you distinguished very clearly. It's like I was texting you and I was also texting my friends. Once again, another piece of evidence. There were two different things. That's fine. I just want to point that out.
just I'm just saying that's who you and my friends. I'm not saying you're not my friend, but I was texting my girlfriends.
All right.
Unless you want to be my girlfriend, we could call you that. We
Well,
could
I'm,
put you
I'm not
in
as
that category.
I'm probably not nearly as attractive as they are, so I don't think I fit. My voice is
That
probably
was
a little deeper too, so I'll stay on this side of the
I've
line.
I've totally for poor Nicole. For some reason, Nicole always gets texts that are not meant for her that I mean to say into someone else. I don't know why, because I'm always texting her, so she's always somewhere in my thread. She'll text me back. She'll be like, "Was that meant for so and so?" I'm like, "Yep,
That,
sorry." And
that's
she'll be
awesome.
like, "That's okay," and she'll just start laughing. And it's nothing crazy, but it's just
Sure,
for some reason she always gets those. Well, you got that one day, but for her it would
sure.
be yeah. So
Yeah,
she
that
gets.
popped up recently. TikTok's weird because I feel like TikTok just randomly, I'll see just random videos that we posted a long time ago or that other people posted a long time ago. I don't like TikTok. I post there, but I was like, it was just a random one. I'm like, oh yeah, that was funny. I do remember that. But no, what I was gonna say about the emailing thing, one of the things that I should just stop emailing this particular phrase because it's going to get me in trouble one of these days. Because you type so fast. But one of the things that I type, if I'm having a back and forth email with someone, and they share some information, I'll say got it, which is fine. But the problem is when you type that really fast, it could come off as go tit, which is not really what I want to send in a professional setting. But like, there's been plenty of times where it's like, da, 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 oh no, not go tit, got it. And so that's the biggest fear, is that somebody's going to
Yeah.
get the tit email from me. It's like, oh, well, there goes my reputation here at work.
You're like,
You know what I
okay,
mean?
cool.
Like a cheerleader on the email, like, go, you know what I mean? Not the message I want to send at work. So
I think it'll be more entertaining. It'll be entertaining more than you think, I think, for your coworkers. So it's okay. Just go for it.
well, depends on who it is. I'll say that. My immediate group, they probably would they would probably find it funny. Outside that circle, it gets a little dicey. Now, that being said, I don't know if you've ever felt this. There are certain things where back in the day before podcasting, I would think that would just be an embarrassing situation that I don't really want to deal with. It might be a good story, but it's like, it's an embarrassing situation. Now, when that stuff comes up, my mind does go towards the podcast. I'm like, you know what? Would this be the worst thing if something crazy happened? Because I can take that to our recording on Tuesday, and it's more content for just the, stuff we share. So the brain shifts a little bit once we start podcasting, especially this podcast specifically. So, like you said, those things aren't always bad.
Yeah.
It's less embarrassing when that happens. Like, I'm gonna share this story for sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's why anything that happens in my dating life, I'm like, oh, there's content. Well, I haven't recorded Not Here to Judge in a while, or with Crystal, but yeah.
Did Crystal finally get tired of you? She would never bash you on air.
She's back. She's releasing one tomorrow.
With you?
No, not with me. She took a break for a while, and but I just saw one of her posts today. She's rebranding and she's relaunching her podcast, and
like self-love for lunch. Just switch up the mealtime.
Yeah.
Self-love for dinner.
Self-love for dinner, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Ooh, yeah, there you go.
Right. So she's going to drop an episode tomorrow. It looks like that's what she's advertising. So that's cool. So she texted me a while ago, and she did say that she's going to start it back up again. And she said she wants to put some dates in with me. We haven't yet. I mean, I'm here. She knows I'm here whenever, because I have lots. The more time that passes that I don't talk to Crystal, the more content I have for her.
That makes sense. So it might have been intentional.
Probably.
On her part. It's like, okay, let her recharge the battery a little bit, and then let's just empty that whole thing, and then let her recharge again.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. It's not bad.
Yeah. So
what's new? As if anybody can't tell, this is one of those episodes where we were not planning to record a solo episode with just the two of us. So if it seems like there's no direction or less,
we're more so trying to see if we can make this a quick recording. We're trying to challenge ourselves to keep it under, I don't know how many minutes, but we have
16 minutes for the time that we said.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right. I don't know. Well, our last episode went like an hour and 25.
Hour and 20. Really? Wait, with just us talking?
Mm-hmm.
What?
I think it was an hour 25, hour 20.
We talk so much.
Have you ever thought, I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but have you really sat down and really thought about the fact that we can still talk for an hour and a half? We've been doing this for four plus years. And not just 4+ years. It's not like we do it every other week. And
every week.
I give you a hard time. Like, there's some that you've missed, but like, for the most part, we've had conversations, hour-long conversations for 4 years. I've talked, the combination of both of us, whether it's together or not, like, we've talked to people for 4 years every single week. And we've only missed a few episodes. Like this week, we had to push this one back a little bit, but like, that's a weird thing to think about, like, that we've talked that much. And then you think about someone like Joe Rogan, Bill Simmons, these people who have done it for years and years and years, and then do multiple during the week. Yeah. They've done it even more than that.
Yeah. That's crazy. I can't. Yeah. Those Joe Rogan podcasts where they talk for 3 hours. I'm like, but remember you and I are like, we should try that sometime. I bet we could. I don't know how interesting it would be. I don't know if anyone would want to, what's funny? Hang on.
That might be 200.
It's so funny when people like, I don't know. I can't think of anyone in particular. Just I've heard it before. Like someone will ask, because I'll talk about, you and I podcasting or just a podcast in general. And someone will ask, well, how long is the podcast? Or how long is the episode? I don't know. And I'll say, oh, an hour and a half or 2 hours. And like, oh, that's too long. I'm like, well, you don't have to listen to it in one sitting. What do you mean that's too long? It just kills me because it's like, I'm like, you could listen to it just whenever and you can just pick it back up. What do you mean that's like, it's hilarious. People make excuses. Like, not for our podcast. I don't try to like push people to listen to ours, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say, hey, I'll tell them, listen to this episode. That sounds bad, but
No,
I'm
I
not
understand. I understand
people to
completely what you're
listen to
saying.
anything. But when I'm passionate about something and I say like, oh, but if you want to know more, because sometimes people will ask me questions about fitness or dating or something, and then I'll refer back to a podcast and say, well, I heard about this from this, or I talked about this on our podcast or on
Sure.
Crystal's or on Not Here to Judge. Listen to it. Oh, how long is it? And I'll say the time. That's too long. What? Just play it piece by piece. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be in one sitting.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's just funny.
Well, that's why, like we talked, years ago, even, a couple years ago when we started this one, we had talked about how long we wanted the podcast to be. I don't know if you remember this, but when we first started podcasting together, not this one, but Character Combine, we said, okay, let's aim between 30 and 45 minutes. Let's make 45 minutes the max. Can you imagine? I do for my home team podcast, I try to keep it around 45, but can you imagine like us doing, even with like whether it's just you and me or a guest, doing a 30-minute podcast? Like we're trying our best tonight, but it's like a wild thought because I think at a certain point, like you and I, like this is the space, the time frame that we feel comfortable with. I feel like it's enough time, but not too much time. And I don't know how you feel, but I always feel like I understand some people when they hear a podcast, they're like, dang, I don't want to listen to a hour-long podcast. That's okay. Yeah. There's plenty of like 15, 30-minute podcasts that will be perfect for you. That's not really the audience that we're probably going to attract. Anybody who likes the longer form, whether they listen to it in one chunk or like you said, they listen to it in pieces.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we went, but we feel comfortable in this time slot. I think that's the interesting thing when you start doing podcasting. Like you kind of do have to figure out, because for some people, the amount of time that we talk, they'd be like, there's no way I'm doing that. That's way too long.
Right. Yeah. Right. I just think and yeah, I get it. It's like like some people's attention spans. I totally get it. But it's funny because even so I will, all the podcasts I listen to, and I'll listen to ours, like even if I'm on a 20-minute drive, okay, cool. And then I get out of my car and I'm busy. And then the next day I put it back on and it just picks it right back up. I'm just like, you can do that easily. Beauty of it. You don't have to sit and listen to, but some people may not like that. So I guess to each their own, but I kind of like I like how when I see a long ass pod, like it's like 2 hours, I'm like, yes, because that means it's going to last longer. Like it's not going to be over so quickly. And I'm going to be like, oh, cool. Now what do I listen to? Exactly. But we're podcast junkies though. Some people just aren't into podcasts at all, which is fine.
Yeah. And I get that too. We kind of talked, we don't need to go into this again, but the whole podcast bro thing, that was clearly someone who does not like podcasts, which is fine. I get it. And I get the stigma behind it, but it's just interesting. Hey, I was going to ask you, so last episode we did the questions from everybody. Were your friends, were they satisfied with our answers, or were they like, you guys didn't answer the questions, or did you get any feedback at all?
I didn't get any feedback. I don't know that they listened to it.
Okay, perfect.
I did tell them that I told my because my coworker Kaylin, she's the one who sent in all of those, so I did let her know. She was very happy.
Perfect.
I told her I had a hard time picking though, because she sent in so many.
Yeah. Well, just let her know that next time we do that, we're expecting a bunch of questions from her again. Like she set the bar pretty high. So
a lot of them were extremely inappropriate. So maybe I'll start picking those to make it a little more spicy.
I know. Well, one of the questions that you shared, I was talking to Jordan about, he's like, it's weird. That would be a weird question for you to answer. I said, no, it would be, I was thinking like, yeah, the question that you put out there would be weird for me to answer, but like I was thinking more, I can talk about any topic. Doesn't necessarily mean it would be about me. I could just throw like just nonsense out about any topic, but I'm like, yeah, that probably would not be a good question for me to answer. Not really my thing on
Yeah.
air.
Which one? Which question?
It's not worth repeating right now. We'll skip it completely. We'll skip it completely, but
Just skip it. Just ignore all that. Just cut all
yeah,
that.
yeah, we'll
Um,
skip that. But I enjoyed, like I said, there's a side of me that's like that would be a really funny thing to talk about, just in general. Like I wouldn't give specific examples, obviously,
yeah.
because for a lot of reasons. But yeah, just the idea of some of those topics would be fun, but can't really do it. So, anyways,
Oh, well, it's all good.
it's all good.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's weird. Everyone's on their spring break right now, but I already had mine a few weeks ago. So now
Just so weird. You probably have like what 2 days until summer break. Like your schedule is so funky.
I know.
Yeah. How
I
long do you have? I know you mentioned it before. How long do you have until summer?
I'm done at the end of May.
Okay.
So I feel like this month will go by fast though, because we're in testing right now. Like we're in ninth grade fitness gram testing and 11th grade CAASP testing. So we're doing that this week and a little bit next week. So I feel like today was the first day of testing. So it's just always crazy, but the day kind of just flies by just because it's so crazy.
Sure.
So I have a good feeling that April will fly by. And then once May hits, and our office, we start putting the days on the board and we don't count weekends. So, we'll put 20 days like I'm gonna put the countdown, I think, up next week actually. Just
Nice.
look forward to something.
Now, do you feel like that? Are you guys superstitious in your office? Does like doing something like that where you put the countdown up, does that jinx you guys where, okay, here's the countdown. And then now all the craziness starts happening where it wouldn't have happened if you didn't put it up. Do you guys
I
believe in
feel
that stuff?
yeah, I mean, all of us are like ex-athletes, so it's almost like a tradition at this point. It's almost
Got it.
like we have to do it because we always do.
Sure.
I feel like at this point, if we don't do it, then something crazy is going to happen. Because
Okay. So
something
you are
crazy,
superstitious just on the flip side of that.
yeah,
Gotcha.
it's like it'll just be a normal crazy. Because something at the end of the school year, when the sun pops out, the kids start popping off. They're just, they're done, and that's when they start kind of.
Yeah. I feel like I had a teacher in high school. It was probably my senior year. It was a psychology teacher. And I think he just, if it was the same guy, I think he described it the best way. And it's always been in my mind. I'm like, especially being married to a teacher, my sister's a teacher. I'm just around the teaching community a lot. Uh, he said it's something like, hey, when basically as soon as spring break hits, the weather gets warm, especially here in Sacramento, the weather gets warmer, uh, less clothes, the teenagers start getting a little bit more wild with the things that they wear and the things that they're doing.
Mhm.
And summer is like they're on the brink of summer break. He's like, it's just a messy recipe for a lot of wild behavior and a lot of wild stuff. Like, that's interesting. Like I never thought about that. Obviously being a student, but like I could never get that out of my head. I'm like, you're probably right. Like just that combination of things, especially here in Sacramento, where the weather does get warm pretty quickly at a certain point.
Yeah.
It's a wild combination for teachers. Like everybody's just, you have like all these horny high school students. They're so close to being at summer break. Just a
Mhm.
lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. It's I just know high school because that's what I teach. And we're on a traditional calendar. So, I teach August through May, and then I have
Sure.
June and July. There's no school. So it usually is crazy in August, like after summer, because all the kids are coming off their summer vibes. They're coming off of like, they're just still in summer mode and it's still warm
Sure.
outside.
Sure.
So August and September is insane. Like these kids don't know how to act, like it's crazy. And then it starts mellowing out, and then winter, they're like out, they're like comatose, they're cold, they're tired,
Yep.
they're school year, like, okay, we get it, we'll finally do what we're supposed to do. Like they just, have been kind of beat down a little bit to like follow
Sure.
the rules, so they're just like over it. And then now at this point where it's like April, May, and we're about to be done, then they kind of like wake up, the sun's out, oh, and they're in their minds, they're like, oh, it's summer. I'm like, no, we have 6 weeks left.
Yeah.
It's not summer yet. You have not school, we're not done. You can't just stop doing your work.
They're like groundhogs. Like how the groundhog comes out and sees its shadow.
Yeah.
They're the
And the
same things. These
kids,
high schoolers like looking around like we can sense it.
yeah,
It's
they
close.
start like, yeah, and they just, the boyfriends and girlfriends or the couples or whoever, they start holding, they start kissing, and I'm like, I just like can't. I'm like, I can't. I don't have time for this. It's just and there's so many of them. There's
Okay,
so many.
can
I'm
I
around teenagers so much. Yes.
what did you just say?
I'm around teenagers so much.
Oh,
Too
I thought you said
much.
you hate teenagers so much. I'm
Oh
like,
no.
ooh,
No, I
ooh,
hate that. No.
I'm gonna have to edit that one out. That's not great. Hey, you may feel it, Deborah, but you can't drop that on the podcast.
I can't just say it. No.
I hate their guts. Like, oh no, that's the end of our podcast. um, no, so it was something I told you before, especially doing the character combine stuff. Like it gave me an opportunity to go speak to teams on high school campuses, a couple of like leadership classes and stuff like that. Like it was always really cool going on campuses, but again, it did allow me on to like I'd have to walk through the campus to get to the classrooms of the teams I was speaking to, and so you get to see high school behavior, the stuff that you see every single day. I would get to see every once in a while during the week as I was walking through at an older age, right? Like in my mid 20s, late 20s. And so you just see things differently. Mm-hmm. And tell me if this is something that you've seen before, because you mentioned the hand holding thing and the public displays of affection. It's always funny to me. I don't want to make fun of this. It's just a funny sight because obviously kids can be awkward with certain things. And it is always interesting. Like when you see certain couples on a campus holding hands, there's some that you can tell feel very uncomfortable holding hands as they're walking through the crowd. Like they're doing it, but it's almost like they're white knuckling it. Like I know I have, you're my boyfriend or girlfriend. I gotta hold your hand, but like I don't feel comfortable having people see me. And then you have the couples like, hey, I'm down to do whatever right now. I don't care who's watching. I don't care how many people there. I don't care if it's a teacher, my classmates. I don't care. I'm so comfortable. I'll do the wildest thing right now. It's a very weird dynamic. Am I off on that, or does that seem accurate?
No, and let me throw in when I make
Oh,
eye contact with them and I know them both.
yeah.
Or I know one of them, they just kind of look at their eyes get all big and they just kind of like look the other direction. And I'm just like, I just smile and wave. If they're just hand holding, whatever. I kind of
smile and wave.
Smile.
Yeah.
I kind of tease them. And just later I'll be like, and sometimes I'll see the couples where I pull the girl aside later and I'm like, you're dating him? Like, what? Like, girl, what the hell's wrong with you? Like,
You really do that?
Yes, because I'll see, like I've seen before a girl like a girl that is like just her character, like I've had her in my class, like
Sure.
great character, great kid, A student. And then the boy she's seeing, here's some high school drama for you, right? This is what I see as a teacher.
I can tell
Same
by
thing
the way you
had,
waved your hair back and forth. We're getting into it now.
Girl.
Yeah.
And then the boy that she's with, this is just a specific example that I can think of. Again, in my class, not in the same class, but like I've had him before too, or I've seen him in someone else's class and he's got a reputation. Just like, I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Like, you better be focusing on your grades, on the sport that you're doing. What are you doing with him? Like, I'll just get all protective because, and it's not a judging thing, but it's because then what I'll start to see is she's starting to cut class all of a sudden. Like that's happened before. I'm like,
yeah.
what are you doing? Were you with so-and-so? Yeah. And I'm like, do you see what I'm talking about? Like, I'll just get on her. Like I've had to talk, like kind of without overstepping my boundary. I just kind of look at her and be like, you better make sure you're making good choice. Like, I just kind of want her to make the connection. But
You just
again,
walk past like that guy sucks. Like, what'd you say? There's like those little subliminal messages.
Oh yeah. I've had to just do a quick little like, okay. I see what's happening here. Not that I'm not qualified to be a counselor, nor am I allowed to counsel kids, but I'll just do a quick, like, who are you dating again? Okay. You need to, okay. Be careful. Like, I'll just do a be careful look. Sure. And like, why are you all of a sudden cutting class or doing this?
Yeah.
And then that's that. And then that's all I can do.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say that we have 2 minutes.
It doesn't happen all the time.
We're going to go over the time limit. We messed up. Okay. It is what it is. I started a bad conversation too late in the podcast, but it is weird. So like sometimes you see, and I feel like you'll see it at the high school level, but obviously you'll see it with, adults, college age and adults as well. It is weird when you see some of those people that are either they're dating or they're interested in each other. You see them, talking or flirting a lot. And sometimes, and maybe I'm old, you're around this stuff all the time. Like there are times where you look at it, I'm like, huh, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what's going on here, because I think to the rest of the world, and I'm going to be more judgmental than you, this dude is a clown. And I don't think it's not like this person's like taking off the clown makeup and it's like, hey, this is who I am. And then later is like putting on all the clown makeup. It's like, this person always wears clown makeup. Like you can tell this person's a clown. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? And
Yeah.
I don't understand the charm of the person. Like I've seen this a couple of times. I'm like, this person has won you over somehow. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how. Like
That goes through my mind. Yes,
like blink,
exactly.
hey, blink twice if
Exactly.
this person's, holding you for ransom.
I
Like we want to give
know.
out signals because like something's going on here. This is not right, because it's like some of these goofballs, and I'm looking at it from the guy perspective. I'm not gonna, I don't, I'll be honest. I don't see it as much from, you probably see it more from the girl perspective. Whereas like
Mhm.
you might see a guy with some girls like, yeah, do you want to do that? I just see it from, you see a
Yeah.
girl with a guy and I'm like, huh, I feel like you're better than that for a
Yeah.
lot of different reasons. Like this guy's a goof. I don't know.
Well, I remember, okay, so when I was, sorry, no, I'll try to say this fast. So when I was in middle school, something similar happened to me where I started like holding hands with this boy, whatever. And I remember one of my vice principals at that school was like knew my parents, like we went to the same church and stuff. So kind of family friends, kind of ish.
Sure.
And I went to his office for, I can't remember what, I was picking something up. I think I was a TA. And before I left, he goes, and let me ask you a question. Why did I see you holding hands with so and so? So he totally
Ooh.
called me out, and I was just like, like my eyes got all big.
Yeah.
My parents didn't know, and I didn't think he was going to tell my parents, but I just remember that because I remember thinking, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's not good. That's
Right.
not. And so just for him to like, he like crossed his arms too, like
Oh,
he
he went, oh, the
all
disapproving arm
fatherly.
cross.
Yeah, he's like, "Why are you holding hands with so and so?" And I'm like, and he just kind of looked at me, and that was it. And that's kind of what I do with my kid, because again, I'm not their parent. I'm not allowed to counsel them. I'm not allowed to give them any, like, I can't,
Sure.
whatever. I try not to cross that line, but I just kind of do the same thing, like, you're dating who? And
Yeah.
then I'll
Right.
be like, okay, I'll just kind of make a face, like, okay, be careful, and then that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
So the drama that I did not sign up for this drama. I thought I got out of the drama by leaving my own high school, but I ended up back in a high school. So here we are. And so now,
It
now
it
I get
always
to
it always
see
follows.
drama all the time.
You think you can leave it behind, but it always
Yeah.
comes back in weird ways. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Even as adults, you see this stuff. It's like I thought we were done with this, but apparently not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
we'll wrap this thing up, but this is gonna be a whole nother conversation. I feel like you would be a good, you may not want to, like I feel like you would be a good high school counselor.
uh,
That's basically what you do on podcast. It's just
basically,
you're
yeah.
just talking. You don't let the other side talk. You know what I mean?
Well, and
Bro-
it's
You know what I mean? I don't know.
right, exactly. Well, and the girls that are in my classes will come up to me quite often and will want to ask me a question. One girl will come up to me and be like, okay, this is a problem. So hypothetically, she always starts out that way. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Hypothetically, if I like this boy, da, 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 so she'll like try to get something out of me about what she should do. And I'll just be like, I just try to give quick, short answers, boom, to the point that she could like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know. Do you want to go see your counselor? I don't know how to help you with it. Like, but they always want to ask me questions, and I'm not a counselor or a psychologist, so I have no idea, and I've got to be careful with what I say to them. So
Sure.
but yeah, it's there's some things that I just don't want to know what
Sure.
teenagers go through also at the same time. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want.
Well, and I've always, I see, for me personally, being on the outside, obviously not having to deal with it, I always thought that was a cool thing when the fact that a student would come up to you and talk to you like that means that you've, again, connectable, right? Like you've made a connection with them to the point where they feel comfortable enough around you and they feel safe around you that they can ask you questions like that. Like I've told the same thing to my wife anytime she's had that interaction, my sister, like that's always a good sign. Like I know some teachers that they're like, I don't think a student would ever approach them about any of that stuff because they just didn't have that,
Yeah.
uh, you know, they didn't have that feeling about them. Like they weren't going to approach them because they weren't really approachable. So obviously you can't say much, but it is kind of it's a sign that you're doing something right, I think.
Well, and it's nothing crazy to where I have to
Sure.
like call
report
CPS.
it. Yeah.
Right. There are times where I'm like where they're really trying to get something out of me, and I'll just send them to their counselor. I'm like, I don't know how, I can't.
Sure.
This is beyond my scope of knowledge, and I don't get paid enough for this. So,
right.
And this is just, I can't get too personal with you anyway. And
Sure.
my kids will ask me all the time, not all the time. They'll be like, are you married? Are you da-da-da? Like, and I'll tell them that I'm divorced. And then that's that. And then the girls will be like, oh, why? What happened? Like, they want to try to get the tea right from me. And all I'll say is, it just didn't work out. And that's it. And that's all I can say. And they try to get more out of me. And I'm like, it just didn't work out. Like, and that's okay. And that's it. And like, so then I changed the subject where I try to stay busy in my classes so that they don't ask me too many questions.
There you go. You should give them different answers every time they ask you that question. just I don't know.
Like, wait, I thought you said, like, no, what are you talking about?
And just like, you know, like right before you retire, just tell them like you're polyamorous or something. It's like, what?
As I get older, just start changing.
Just let it just drop the mic. I don't know.
Great. That'd be great. Yeah.
And we'll end the podcast there.
Yeah. We went 5 minutes over. That wasn't too bad.
That's not too bad. So Deb, where can they, and I haven't mentioned your shirt, by the way, but I did notice you're wearing that shirt, the race shirt.
My race ugly shirt. I haven't worn it in a while.
I know. And I saw that. I'm like, oh, she brought it back. So just so you know, I usually mention it. I waited the entire podcast to say something, but there it is. It's very eye catching. I'll say that.
Yeah, it is. I went running in it today. I probably will go running after in it. But anyway, okay. You guys can.
Okay. Where can they follow us?
Oh God, I had this whole spiel. How did I do this last time? You guys can follow us on Twitter at Connectable Pod, and then on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, it's Connectable Podcast.
There you go.
I think. Yes. I'm getting lazier, so I'm trying to like shorten that.
Yeah. Which is weird because I feel like the last couple of times you've tried really hard to make sure that you can get it down.
I have to think really, there's something wrong with my brain sometimes. I think I don't know.
This is the middle of the afternoon, and just a little behind the curtains thing. We have another podcast we have to record tonight with a guest. So all right, get your coffee, get your Truly, whatever you need. We got to do this in a couple hours. So good luck.
Go for a run to wake up.
Boom. There we go.
Boom.
All right, guys. Please make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, where you can also leave a 5-star rating and review. And then also head over to our YouTube channel to subscribe there as well. We would definitely appreciate it. We have a ton of episodes. So if you're new to the podcast, make sure you go back and check all that stuff out, because we have a lot of good conversations, a lot of great guests that are doing really dope things. So check it out, and we will see you guys next week. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.